The Buffalo Bills dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers. How did it happen? We're exploring what the tape revealed today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Well, folks, welcome in. It's time for the ALL-22 review. I spent all day in the film, and I want to share with you my top takeaways and why things went well for the Bills, or maybe at times why they didn't go well. But I want to start with a quick thought, because I know that there's a lot of confusion around this Bills team. They're 8-4, and they've been hot, they've been cold, they've shown you a lot of different things. And they're confusing. And I had some really good conversations today with our Discord community, which I'd encourage you to be part of through Substack or Subtext. Go to thejoemarino.com to learn more about that. And people are talking about this team and trying to get it figured out, especially the offense. And this is where I kind of landed. We've experienced all the extremes of this offense. We've seen them run the ball extremely well in wins over Carolina and Pittsburgh. We've seen them throw the ball all over the yard in wins over Tampa Bay and Baltimore. We've seen them look horrible in losses to the Dolphins and Texans. We've seen them be two-dimensional in the win over Kansas City. The Bills have shown they can do all the things. All the extremes are possible. Throw the ball great. Run the ball great. Do both great. Do both horribly. It's all there. And it comes back to, how do they find some consistency? How do they find consistency and play their best offense consistently moving forward as we are now in December and knocking on the door of the playoffs? So on one hand, you've seen it all. On the other hand, you haven't seen it all consistently. But the fact that they have proven all the different things should give you some level of encouragement. I'm not promising you anything regarding this team this year. Certainly doesn't feel like the best Bills team that we've watched over the last 5-6 years since they became an upper echelon team. But look at the league. Look at the league. Who's the juggernaut? Everybody wanted it to be the Rams. Everybody anointed the Rams, me included. And then they went out and lost to the Carolina Panthers. Any team can beat any team. Which team can find consistency? That's going to be critical, because everyone's shown vulnerability. And I know that we live in Bills world and we're focused on this team, but I'm telling you, pick the team. We'll go through the problems. And they exist. So let's play them one at a time and see what happens. All right, let's talk about this Bills film over the Steelers. I want to start with the rushing offense. I feel like that's obviously the story of the game. The Bills run the ball 51 times for 249 yards. And the backs were really good. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. I have a lot of praise to give them. But I think there's more praise that needs to go to the blocking. This was a phenomenal game when it comes to run blocking. On the 51 rushing attempts, the Bills averaged 2.9 yards before contact per attempt. That means they got 148 yards in this game running the football before someone was touched. In fact, I'd argue that the yards after contact and missed tackles forced metrics were really bad. Only 1.57 yards after contact per attempt. That's 22nd this week in the NFL. Only 5 missed tackles forced when running the football. That's 0.1 per attempt. That's 20th in the NFL. This was a blocking game. Moving bodies, creating lanes, and then the running backs doing a phenomenal job of making the blocks right. I love what Cook did. I love what Davis did. I love what Johnson did. I love what Josh Allen did running the football, but the credit to me goes to the blocking. And I really think the offensive line deserves a lot of credit, but the tight ends and receivers as well. Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, they were exceptional with their run blocking on the edge. Jackson Hawes, exceptional. Dawson Knox, exceptional. And then I think you call out Alec Anderson and O'Cyrus Torrence and Connor McGovern as the 3 guys in that offensive line from a run blocking perspective that really created a ton of space. The Bills ran the ball 51 times. Get this, 40 of those 51 runs went to the right of the center. That means 11 went to the left. And when they went to the left, it was 11 rushes for 23 yards. When they went to the right, it was 40 for 226. That right side did some really good things. In addition to those perimeter blockers in Hawes, in Shakir, and Tyrell Shavers. The Bills ran duo a good amount. You've probably heard a lot of people say, yeah, they ran the same run play over and over again. Well, Pittsburgh didn't know how to stop it. And what is duo? That's probably a good question. Duo is when you have 2 inside double teams with your offensive linemen that work vertically to the linebackers. You have a play side tight end. And when you double and then get north to the linebackers, you get vertical to the linebackers, what that does for your running back with the ball is it allows them to read the play side backer and work off whatever he does. And conceptually, what this does is it forces corners to have to tackle running backs, right? And you heard James Cook say after the game, they didn't think much of their cornerbacks' ability to tackle. And the Steelers tried a bunch of different things, but they were always wrong. They slanted inside and shot gaps. They overloaded with bodies on the edge. They rolled the safety down. Didn't matter because you had James Cook's vision and you had this combination of Shavers, Shakir, and Hawes that sorted it out every single time. And so really just outstanding effort by many people. But it's not just Cook in the backs. It's the blockers. It's the perimeter blockers and the offensive line. It's Aaron Kromer. It's Joe Brady. They had the right ideas for how to run the football against this defense. And this defense didn't have any answers. Kind of the game they needed to play. We're going to talk a lot about the passing offense. There's some big thoughts that I have about that and some good and some bad there. But based on the way that this game was going and how Pittsburgh just couldn't find an answer, you stick with it. You stick with it, especially when you're down your 2 starting tackles. You're down Kincaid, you're down Palmer. Your passing game looks shaky. Lean into this and get a dub, and that's exactly what they did. All right, we're going to talk more about this passing offense next. I think there's some interesting things that were revealed to me when studying the film. I'll share that with you here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. They have live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. There's player prop updates as guys heat up. You can bet on the next touchdown scorer, the next drive result, totals, and it just keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So, folks, check it out. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, let's talk passing offense. It wasn't a super prolific day for Josh Allen throwing the football, 15 to 23, 123 yards, touchdown, and then, of course, the interception on the first drive. When you think about this game, and you were considering Josh Allen going up against the Steelers, no Deion Dawkins, no Spencer Brown, no Dalton Kincaid. You're thinking about TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig and Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton, and you're nervous, right? I saw a lot of people sending me messages about how they guarantee Josh Allen's going to get hurt or they're going to have to carry him off the field in a bag, right? Like, let's not forget that. I know that in the heat of battle, you're watching the Bills, you're watching Josh Allen, and boy, you want him to throw crazy good passes all over the yard. And then when you don't get that, you feel empty and you feel unsatisfied, right? The number one thing that the Bills needed to do in this game was protect Josh Allen. And they did. And they also won by 3 scores. Josh Allen was not sacked. He was hit one time. He was pressured on 33% of dropbacks, which is 20th among the NFL quarterbacks in Week 13. And they did this without their starting offensive tackles. Now, there are some things that the Bills did to help with that, but that was priority number one. Keep Josh Allen upright and give this team a chance to function offensively. Sorry you didn't throw for 300 yards. But they did some good things to help. Josh Allen got the ball out of his hands unbelievably fast. His average time to throw is 2.26 seconds. That is kind of unheard of for Josh Allen. His rate of throws to the check down, 30%. That's well over 3 times more than his season average. His average depth of target, this isn't very high. It's 1.9. It's the lowest of any quarterback in Week 13 by a good bit. The next closest was Sam Darnold at 3.6. I think every other quarterback was above 4, and most of them were above like 7. You embraced what you had to do. This wasn't a game for Josh Allen to execute 5 and 7-step drops and push the ball down the field. That's not the right idea for this type of game. And so we figured that Pittsburgh would blitz a lot. They did. They blitzed 54% of Josh Allen's dropbacks. That's like almost a 20% higher rate than their season average. And Josh was 9 of 14 for 73 yards and a touchdown and interception when he was blitzed. So they tried to really stress the Bills' issues even more, right? Sending extra bodies, blitzing. And Josh got the ball out of his hands, and he mitigated negative plays. In this type of game, that's what was needed. And so I think it was a good job of getting the ball out of his hands, taking care of not only the football, but himself, and doing the best they could to stay on schedule. Now, I will also say that at the same time, I believe there was a good amount of meat left on the bone for this passing offense. And I feel like the first drive interception affected Josh Allen the way he played that game throwing the football. Now, again, I think he did what he needed to do to win it. But as you maybe come away a little discouraged by how the passing game looked, I want to talk to you about some of the opportunities that were there down the field that Josh, he didn't take them. And I think it was part of this overall idea that, hey, this is a mitigate risk game. Now, first of all, let's talk about the interception. Everything I've thought about the interception maintains. He started his eyes to the wrong side. And going back and watching the tape and seeing the leverage of the defense, knowing that the player over top of Dawson Knox to his left was a safety that was playing with a ton of depth. They blitzed that linebacker at the snap. It was a wide open window to throw the ball to the left. That's where his eyes needed to start. It's not just going back in hindsight and, start your eyes to the left. It's a better situation. Just like I think the pre-snap presentation of the defense told you to start to the left. And he throws a pick, forcing it to what I believe was a predetermined throw to Gabe Davis. And Josh Allen told you, he said, I need to start my eyes the other way. He said it. So I know nobody likes to hear me say anything negative about Josh Allen, but he also said that about himself. But that happening on the first drive, I do think impacted the way that Josh Allen played this football game. Because I thought there were opportunities down the field. I'm not talking about like 80-yard bombs, but down the field throws in that intermediate range, that kind of 15 to 20 range, that he didn't take. I want to point out 3 plays, and I shared all of these plays, the film, with our Substack and Subtext community. So if you get the extra content from me, whether that's text messages or extra film or written content, you've already got this film several hours ago, where I showed these 3 plays in particular that I thought were a direct result of, that early giveaway. The first was a Keon Coleman opportunity where he was number 1 in the progression. Josh is looking at it. He's running kind of an outbreaker, and Keon has the route leverage the whole time. He has good separation at the route break, and Josh, he looks at it and says, no. It's an easy read. It was number 1. You're number 1 and the progression's open, you throw it. He didn't throw it, right? He winds up not throwing that pass where I thought that was an opportunity. Then he had Brandon Cooks a couple of times. Once late in the first quarter where he had him on a corner route where the routes were designed to hold the coverage and get Cooks free on a corner, wide open. Wide open. It's the first part of the progression. He turns it down. And then later on, it's that play action play that they've thrown to Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis in recent weeks where it's a play action fake and then you have the dig route at about, 10 to 12 yards of depth. Nobody is near Cooks. Josh is looking at it the whole way and he takes the check down to Dawson Knox. So there were good moments of separation and opportunity down the field that Josh has said no to. And so while you maybe are frustrated that there wasn't more production passing the game, I think you can be encouraged that there were some more opportunities that may have went differently if Josh doesn't throw that first drive interception and the rushing success isn't there, right? Or they maybe had to go to some of that stuff. But ultimately, the game plan or the game script didn't really force Josh Allen to dial up those throws and take those risks. And I think he did the right thing with his approach to this game and just mitigating those risks against that defense, especially with just how it was unfolding, how their offense looked, right? When I see there, I mean Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers and looked horrible, right? The rushing offense for Pittsburgh looked horrible. This was a game where it's like, don't need to beat ourselves. And the Bills settled in after a couple of giveaways and ran away with the game. So hopefully that all lands for you. Obviously, the only person that can truly answer is Josh Allen, but that's kind of my thoughts on reviewing the tape. One thing that I'd like to start doing on our all-22 reviews is recapping my keys. Now, I put a lot of time into preparing for these games, and I give to you in our primer episode anywhere from 3, 4, 5 sometimes keys that I think are important for success. And I want to start incorporating them into our all-22 review conversations to kind of reflect on what I said and how much it mattered and what the Bills did or did not do about it. So let's start doing that now. I had 3 keys for the Bills offense against Pittsburgh's defense. Number 1 was you had to have the right protection schemes. You couldn't just go 5-man protection with your 2 reserve tackles against a group of really good pass rushers. Obviously, the Bills did a good job with handling that. Josh Allen not sacked. He's hit once, only pressured on 33% of dropbacks. So good job. You had the right protection schemes. Number 2, as I said, that the Bills receivers would have to win some matchups on the perimeter. We talked about the coverage presentations that Pittsburgh gives, a lot of one high middle of the field close, which dictates throws outside the numbers. I would say that the Bills did not win a ton of matchups on the perimeter, but I also don't feel like they ultimately needed to based on the way that they ran the ball and the way that this game script unfolded. So I think the success that they had running the football mitigated the necessity to win matchups on the perimeter. Number 3 is I thought this was a big run the ball game, right? This was a let James cook game. That obviously happened. We talked about Pittsburgh, how they were susceptible to giving up explosive runs. Their run defense metrics were middle of the pack. They were without Derek Harmon. And then you think about the circumstances of the Bills offense with their tackles out and shaky passing game, those types of things. This was a let James cook game, and surely that happened. He had 30-something carries. over 140 yards. So they obviously did an amazing job with that piece of it. All right, let's talk offensive snap counts real quick. 74 snaps of offense for the Bills. Josh Allen, all 74. At running back, James Cook, 45 of 74. Ty Johnson, 20. Ray Davis, 13. Reggie Gilliam, 9. It's nice to see Ray Davis provide a spark. I thought he did a good job coming in with his 9 rushes. There were some times where you could tell he's not James Cook, right? That's what it comes down to. He's not quite the decision maker. He doesn't necessarily press and feel carries to the same degree that James Cook does. And so he had some runs where I thought there was a lot of meat left on the bone, but obviously a lot of production. A really good kind of game where I feel like it could propel Ray Davis moving forward. But I would say wasn't perfect. I think he's going to look back at his tape and feel like there were some decisions with the ball that he wished he would have made differently. Reggie Gilliam had 9 snaps played. One note here on James Cook, just to give you the full picture, he did fumble twice in this game. I thought it was only once. It was a lost fumble, of course, that you saw, but there was another one where the ball came out and he landed right on top of it, but he did fumble twice in this game. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 53 snaps out of 74, an amazing job blocking on the edge. Jackson Hawes, 52. Kaleki Letu, 4. At wide receiver, Tyrell Shavers played the most snaps at 45, and he was a killer blocking. Gabe Davis, 43 snaps. Khalil Shakir, 36. Keon Coleman, 33. Now we're talking appropriate, right? He can't be the guy that plays the most. 33 snaps as the 4th receiver. There you go. That's what you do. It was an amazing, ridiculous situation early in the year. That's what I talked about before the bye. I'm like, this role that they have for Keon Coleman is completely unjustified. But if he's the number 4 receiver that plays the 4th most snaps and gets a couple of targets, it's a lot more digestible. We normalized here. Thank God. Brandon Cooks played 17 snaps. Obviously had the really nice comeback route for a catch on a 3rd and long. And there were some other opportunities to get him the ball. There were. He was open. And so I'm curious to see how those are capitalized on moving forward. The offensive line, all 5 starters played 74 snaps. Ryan Vandemark, David Edwards, Connor McGovern, O'Cyrus Torrence, Alec Anderson. Of course, a big shout out to Vandemark and Anderson. Vandemark's played a lot more like traditional tackle, obviously, in the NFL. He's had a couple starts lately, moved over to the left side, and you could tell that he's comfortable over there. And they didn't have to help him to the same degree as they did Alec Anderson. And so I think that's a big deal that Ryan was able to lock down his side over there where the attention could go to Alec Anderson. And with all due respect to Alec Anderson, hadn't played right tackle in a game in a long time, and he had the tougher assignments, right? He's drawing TJ Watt over there. And so I thought it was a big deal that Ryan Vandemark in pass pro could kind of hold his own. And then on the right side, you can give Alec Anderson a little bit more help. All right, we're going to talk defense. A lot to say about the defense here on the other side of it, and I want to really celebrate Christian Benford and Tre'Davious White. We'll do that here next, folks. Be sure to stick with me. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. And look, you can give this gift to anybody, your grandparents, your parents, newlyweds, anybody that loves photos. There's endless uploads of pictures and 30-second videos through the Aura app. You can add a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels thoughtful. The moment it's open, the packaging comes gift ready, no price tag, no wrapping needed, which of course is a huge win. It's a holiday gift that actually gets used, not something that's going to be forgotten in a drawer. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's AURA frames.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell fast. Order yours now to make sure you get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Let's talk about this defense. Boy, it's playing well. It's playing well. There's no doubt about it. I think there's a lot to say about the Steelers and their offense, and they got a world of problems there, but the defense for the Buffalo Bills played great in this game. Let's talk about the run defense, and I want to reiterate this. And you know this, like if you're an everydayer, you hear these crossover discussions, these hosts come in every single week and they're like, oh, well, the Bills just give up running yards, right? You can just run the ball all over them. And yeah, like they're not wrong. Not in this game, though. Not in this game. 18 carries, 58 yards. It's 3.2 yards per carry. Buffalo Bills did it. They stopped the run in a very meaningful way. Now, let's talk about some of this. Now, one thing that I think was very helpful was Aaron Rodgers and his wrist injury, which did not allow him to take under center snaps. So you had 0 under center runs for Pittsburgh. They ran a lot of pistol. They, of course, everything was gun, but sometimes it was pistol. And the Steelers had a 33% success rate on runs, second lowest of any team in week 13. They had a 56% stuff rate, the 5th highest of any team. The Bills did not miss a single tackle against the run. Pause. That was true. I said something factual. They did not miss a single tackle against the run, according to the Fantasy Points data suite, which I think is comfortably, without question, the best analytics source that you can find. They didn't chart a single missed tackle against the run. And the Steelers only got 1.39 yards after contact per attempt, which is the 5th best or the 5th lowest mark in the NFL in week 13. The Bills' run defense met the moment. Shaq Thompson, I'll call him out in a big way. It's a real Mike linebacker right there. Guy that can play in coverage, can play downhill, play off contact, make tackles, physical, tone setting, throws his body out there. He's a dude. Wish he was 10 years younger so we could build around him. He elevates this team. There's no doubt about it. It's undeniable. That's your best middle linebacker. He should play every snap as long as he's healthy. He was so good defending the run, sniffing it out, getting downhill, making plays. Christian Benford was phenomenal against the run in this game. Phenomenal. And I'll be honest with you, I thought the whole front mostly played really good run defense with the exception of one player. That would be Larry Ogunjobi. Getting rooted out, standing up, not playing good ball. I thought he had been playing a little better, but he's been pretty disappointing to me. Especially, this is like his former team. I thought he might have a little juice for this one. Didn't play well. But I thought everyone else really did a good job of maintaining their run fits, squeezing gaps, staying leveraged, making tackles, and getting it done. When it comes to pass defense, boy, the Bills looked really good here. The Steelers combined with Rudolph and Rodgers, they go 10 of 24 for 117 yards and a pick. And look, this wasn't a game where the Bills' pass rush was the reason they were very good at stopping the pass. This was much more of a really outstanding coverage game for the Bills. And of course, Pittsburgh's own limitations. Let's be honest. Like Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, not it, right? They don't really have a meaningful receiver outside of DK Metcalf. There's not a whole lot to be afraid of. But the Bills' pass rush was pretty much non-existent in this game outside of the Joey Bosa strip sack, which, of course, was a huge moment. But the Bills only pressured these quarterbacks on 24% of dropbacks. That's extremely low. I was celebrating it being 33% for the Bills. It's 24% for Pittsburgh. And get this, Steelers' average time to throw was 2.95 seconds. They're holding on to the ball. The Bills just weren't pressuring them. The Bills had a minus 15.26 pressure rate over expectation, which factors amount of rushers and how long the quarterback holds the ball. Minus 15.26%. Pass rush is ice cold. Now, the good side of that, the thing to celebrate here is that the coverage was phenomenal. And let's go right to 47, Christian Benford. He took care of DK Metcalf. Had 10-man coverage reps against DK. Had 3 more zone reps where Metcalf became his primary responsibility. That's 13 coverage snaps against DK Metcalf. Did not allow a single catch. And an interception, and of course, a scoop and score on the Bosa strip sack. And the run defense was elite. It's not just the one play that was on the first drive where he came in and made the tackle. There were multiple times where he was able to trigger and make a big-time tackle at or near or behind the line of scrimmage. Christian Benford has absolutely turned it on. And people could not wait to be mad at him earlier in the year when you kind of felt like he started slow. He did. There's no denying it. There's also no denying that he has turned it on. Since week 6, he has gotten right back to being that elite corner that we've been enjoying for the previous 2 seasons. Since week 6, opponents have thrown the ball against Benford 17 times. He's given up 9 catches for 121 yards, no touchdowns allowed, and has an interception. Let me give you some more metrics here. Among the 62 cornerbacks with at least 175 coverage snaps since week 6, Christian Benford ranks number 4 in passer rating against, 51.3, the second fewest coverage snaps per target at 10.9, and the third fewest coverage snaps per reception allowed at 20.6. Elite level play is back for Christian Benford, and that doesn't even get into the run defense. He's arguably the best run support and tackling corner in the NFL. It's good to have him back. And let's also give some love to Trey White. Since week 6, Trey White has played 122 coverage snaps. He's been targeted 12 times. He's given up 2 catches for 20 yards. Boy, the first 4 weeks of the season, Trey White was everyone's punching bag. Well, he's turned it on, so has Christian Benford, and it's nice to get Max Harrison working in there as well. I'm not saying that the Bills defense is amazing or perfect or anything like that, but you gotta give some love to Christian Benford and Trey White for how they've turned their seasons around. But ultimately, in this game in particular, the Bills just did not give up much. 10 completions. And 2 of those were garbage time completions to Darnell Washington over the middle of the field. They had the miracle Kenneth Gainwell shoestring catch. They had a nice completion to DK Metcalf where the Bills were in cover 2, and he finds a little space in the hook curl area where Matt Milano is supposed to be covering, and they found a completion. What'd they get? A 6-yard completion to Jonnu Smith? The Bills took care of the pass, and it was coverage. Much more coverage than pass rush. The pass rush is about non-existent. All right, let's do my keys recap. My keys for the Bills' defense against the Steelers' offense. Number 1 is that they had a tackle. Talked about how the Steelers were number 1 in percentage of receiving yards that come after the catch. 4th in missed tackles forced per run. The Bills missed a total of 4 tackles in the game, none against the run. They did an exceptional job tackling in this game. We talked about how important it was to defend tight ends. It's a tight end-centric offense more than any other offense in the NFL. 61% of passing plays for Pittsburgh this year featured 2 tight ends on the field. The Steelers' tight ends had 3 catches for 51 yards, and 2 for 45 of that was Darnell Washington in garbage time. None of their receiving production to tight ends mattered. So the Bills obviously took care of that. And then my third question was, how are you going to manufacture pass rush? Well, the answer there is they didn't. They blitzed 6 times, and Aaron Rodgers went 1 for 5 for 26 yards. Or the whole team went 1 of 5 for 26 yards and the interception. But, they don't allow much pressure in defense of the Bills. The Steelers are 28th in pressure rate allowed. So they don't allow much. They only allow pressure on 27% of dropbacks. The Bills pressured them on 24%. But I really want to see some life in this pass rush. That's my thing right now. As we get closer and closer to the season, I need to see it because that's been the problem. That's been the problem in the postseason more than anything is a lack of pass rush. And I just don't feel good about where that's headed right now. Defensive snap counts. The Bills played 43 snaps of defense. Defensive ends, Greg Rousseau, 28. Joey Bosa, 24. He's got a hamstring injury. Sean McDermott said, we'll see. So I'm guessing he's going to miss at least this game against Cincinnati, which is not great. You want him against Burrow, but maybe the silver lining there is that gets a little more time to get his wrist healthy. A.J. Epinesa, 21 snaps. T.J. Sanders, 19. He played 12 snaps of defensive end, 7 of defensive tackle, and Javon Solomon, 3. It's pretty telling the trajectory of Javon Solomon. He's getting some chances, and now those chances are gone. They don't trust him to play the run. TJ Sanders is playing over him. This is why you got to get interested in seeing Morgan Fox and Shaq Lawson, because you got TJ Sanders playing defensive end and they don't trust Javon Solomon. I D-tackle Daquan Jones, 27 snaps. Deion Walker, 19. Larry Ogunjobi, 19. Jordan Phillips, 12. A lot better effort this week from Jordan Phillips. I was hot on him last week. He deserved it. This was a lot better. At linebacker, Shaq Thompson, 40 of 43 snaps. Matt Milano, 35. I thought he played well. I think Matt Milano's been playing well of late. Dorian Williams, 19 snaps. Love the role that they're carving out for him, even if it's not that spy mirror player. The Bills are playing a lot of base defense, and Dorian Williams is a big part of that. In fact, get this, the Bills are number 2 in the NFL in defensive EPA per snap out of base defense. It's been a nice thing to have back in the mix, and they're running it about 20% of the time. Joe Andreessen and Balin Spector for 3 snaps. At corner, Christian Benford, 40. Trey White, 33. Taron Johnson, 25. Maxwell Hairston, 13. At safety, Cole Bishop, 40. Jordan Poyer, 38. Jordan Hancock, 4. And Cam Lewis, 8. They showed some dime looks in this game where Poyer came off. Not many snaps, but a couple of snaps where Poyer came off, Milano came off, and Hancock and Lewis came on, and they rushed 4. So your only backer was Shaq Thompson with 6 DBs, and then the 4-man rush. Kind of interesting. They're really tinkering with that dime stuff, and I am enjoying that. Studs and duds. I got a long list of studs this week. Studs, Shaq Thompson, Christian Benford, Joey Bosa, James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, Alec Anderson, O'Cyrus Torrence, Connor McGovern, Ryan Vandermark, Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox, Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, Joe Brady, and Aaron Kromer. Duds, only one, Larry Ogunjobi. All right, folks, there you have it. A robust all-22 review. We covered a lot of ground here today. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Hope you'll come back the rest of the week. We've got herd mentality. Then we're getting ready for Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. I blew it, right? How do you miss that opportunity? You say, we're on to Cincinnati, right? Bill Belichick, you know what I'm talking about? I missed a chance there. I'll do better, though, the rest of the week. So the rest of the week, we're on to Cincinnati after herd mentality tomorrow. Let me get out of here. Thanks for being here. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.